welcome. This is the church and the state. I am your host, Anne Joseph. It's so nice to have you. I would love to urge you one thing. Just take your phone or whatever gadget you're using, take the link of this broadcast, share on all social media platforms, because the discussion that we have tonight, it's very, needed in our generation, because we are going to see what are the godly ways, the better ways that we can use to build nations. You see, like continent of Africa, we are witnessing a lot of for lack of a better word, us not being able to attain the full potential, because the land has minerals, the land has people who are so educated, some are even brilliant, they have all these ideas, but when it comes to reflect, the country, maybe in terms of infrastructure, in terms of how the countries generally look like, it's not up to the standard. So today, I have the expert. I know you have been waiting to hear him. Yeah, he is our guest of honor, our guest for today, and all other days, Ambassador John C.W. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We missed you for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit quite a robust season for me.
Yeah.
Where it's not guaranteed where I'll be.
Yeah.
But I thank God today I'm here. Is it Valentine's?
Oh my God. Today, we are in May.
Oh, okay.
Don't say you are 3 months behind.
No, it's because I know your husband. Your husband might have decided to make every day a Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's a special man.
Every day, I tell you.
Yeah, Nimbaya.
By the apple.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you very much, each and every one of you, for tuning in. I know that this program is life transforming.
It is.
So thank you for according us your ears and your heart. Asanteni.
Wow, welcome.
Thank you.
I saw a person asking, you asked whether it's Valentine because of
because
our
of
dress?
the dressing.
God.
You are not understood.
Anyway,
Yeah,
at least I've got it.
You're about to make me to go and do my all red. I also have a red kakeleas, but you look nice. Thank you very much.
Yes, so now I had, actually it was a text. I've seen several people asking, why are you called doctor, by the way? Dr. Ambassador. You have talked about titles before. I don't like titles, but now you are doctor. Would you love to address that?
Well, it's an amazing thing. So basically, through the kind of work that we have found ourselves doing over the years, you come to realize that there are several institutions that would want to be, in one way or another, or probably for lack of a better word, connected to you. And so in most cases, you become good at something. In fact, they call Jesus the word rabbi. In fact, Jesus also was called doctor, because the Bible calls him the great physician. So it's actually Dr. King Jesus.
I know.
But for within that, within my scope of ministry and leadership experience, a lot of different institutions have felt the need to, either be in touch with what I'm doing or be part of what we are doing. So because of that, we have different institutions, both locally and abroad, that feel that they would like to give you a doctorate degree, or rather a doctorate award in matters leadership and governance. So that's part of the things that happened to me, that I ended up becoming an over-expert, that they decided to add for me the DR. So that's how it came about. When you hear the word ambassador, it's true that we are literally, either scripturally, the Bible calls us ambassadors of Christ, but beyond that, we have an institution, the UN, IPGC, that I happen to be, the chair of leadership and governance in the whole of the African divide. Apart from that, an institution gave me the doctorate, and that's how I arrived at DR, Ambassador Doctor.
But you deserve it, from what
You think
I'm
so?
here. From what I'm hearing,
Right.
it is your purpose, manifesting your purpose that accorded that. It's not
Definitely.
just ceremonial
No,
titles.
it's not ceremonial.
It's who you are.
It's definitely who we are.
Yeah.
Apart from that, we are healing the sick.
Yeah, sure.
I've been a doctor for many years, so
Yeah.
I think we are administrating spiritual welfare by making sure that people are sound.
Yeah.
So I hope I've answered that.
Yes, at the church and the state, we really appreciate that
Thank
gift.
you. Thank you.
And how you're able to communicate these matters with depth.
Right.
And also, it's not only depth, but also to bring understanding. It's deep, but at the same time, it's simple.
Thank you.
Even the person who doesn't have experience can know and can know what you are saying, even if they don't want. There's
Wow.
that voice that is speaking to them. And actually, that's why many people, actually, I've seen a comment, a person called Prince, saying the whole week I've been scrolling the channel, waiting for this show. So
Really?
thank you.
Thank you, Prince. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
and many others who have reached out. Now, Sam, this is the church and the state, where we look at governance issues, talk of politics, anything governance, in the lenses of the scriptures.
Right.
Now, we are in Kenya, approaching 2027, and we are seeing, I don't want to say commotion, I would say commotion because according to the constitution, the time for campaign is not yet open officially. But we have people forming coalitions, weighing themselves, which party will take lead. And also we have people saying, no, this is our mandate or this is our agenda. Now, I have a question regarding the politics of Kenya. Actually, it reflects on the politics of Africa. What do you think, or what are your thoughts when it comes to how people form coalitions, alliances, and parties? Because I was looking countries like America, United States of America, like you can know it's red and blue for years. But
Republican and Democrats.
yes.
Right.
But now when you come to these African countries, especially Kenya, every other election, we have this coalition. So it's no longer about, what do we call it? Values. It's not this formation depending on values. It's not because of some conviction deep that cannot be, when we talk of conservatives and liberals in America, you can say there's no way this person can close over to this other side. But in Kenya, it keeps changing and changing. What are your thoughts concerning that? And also, as we are approaching, I know this is a bit, do you think from all those coalition and all those things that are going on, depending on the need of the country and the continent, do those people carry the solution of what we need at this time, depending on where we need to be as a country and as a continent? Two questions.
Well, let's begin by, first of all, debunking the reality of the African politics.
Sure.
Looking at, history serves us right for us to be able to, create a scenario, or rather an analogy that will point us towards specific things we're about to share. You almost don't need to be a prophet to be able to perceive the trajectory of the African political landscape. You don't necessarily need to have that third eye. If you just look at history, patterns have been repeated so many times. Number one, the first pattern would say is that in politics there are no permanent enemies.
Sure.
I think that is more demonstrated and lived out in Africa as opposed to now the American
West.
countries, or rather Western cultures. Not necessarily because we don't have such movements, but they would say they are not as loud, But the reason is because the Bible says, believe in the Lord your God, you shall be established. So there is a level of belief that is needed in order for establishment to be in view. Believe in the Lord your God, you shall be established, and then believe in his prophets and you shall prosper. I think the concept of the African politics is centered around prosperity over establishment. And this word prosperity is not necessarily geared around the welfare of the people you're representing.
Self-gains.
Exactly, but it's the individual.
Yeah.
So in Africa, you almost know the outcome of every movement. If you don't get power, you go out,
You
form
split
your
and,
own,
yeah.
you do ABCD, you cut off, you do ABCD. So it's a normal African thing.
Yeah.
In order for us to, like this week I've been studying Nigeria, I think they have the ADC, the new, they have this new party, NDC or something, this new party. And I was looking at this particular thing and I'm wondering, how comes in every political season, we know that the first thing we are going to experience is a new party.
Yeah.
The reason is because we don't focus on establishment, we focus on prosperity.
Yeah.
We believe in the Lord our God, it shall be established. There's something about God and establishment. God is not a nomad. I think we learned that in school. There's what we call political nomads. God is more of a person that seeks you to be established.
Farm.
Exactly. And this is why, for example, if you take the case study of marriage, you find that God gives you a specific partner to establish something other than just being...
That's why it's called covenant.
It's called a covenant.
Yeah.
So we do not have that establishment format in Africa that makes the party superior to the person. Or rather makes the purpose superior to the individual.
Wow.
So as long as the individual carries the purpose. So if the individual is not present, like let me take a case example of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. You can clearly tell that when he was alive, that coalition or that particular party that he established ended up becoming, a very strong foundation.
Sure.
But now that he's left the scene, you can clearly see the establishment part of it. Africa does not focus on that establishment part of it. So if he leaves the scene, everyone wants a piece of the cake. So we do not have a goal for that particular vision. I think we have more of individual goals. And this is the reason why you rarely find many African companies like probably Coca-Cola. You rarely meet African companies that would move to over 100 years like Coca-Cola, over 100 years like Total. Such kind of companies. You almost know that if these two people come together, it's going to fall. If these two people, if it's not the parents, the children who come out, start fighting, before you know, the whole thing falls apart. So I think it's an issue of establishment. We don't have a set of goals, and we are not willing to establish goals. We establish people. So once those people leave, everything they have built lives with them. I think that's how I would look at it.
When you talked about establishment, sure, we really need it. Because I was looking at how President Obama came into power in America. By 2004, he was not even known.
He wasn't known.
He wasn't known. Actually, when he gave his speech, that speech that moved everybody, that's when they saw this person can represent a party that has existed for years. So it outlives the person.
Individual.
And like in Africa, where the center is the man, it's not the party as
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. For example, who's the owner? You know of Total. You've heard of Total company. Who's the owner of Total? Exactly.
I just know the brand.
Exactly. I guarantee you, if Apple, the product Apple, was probably in Africa, the minute the gentleman died, Apple would have died with him. But do you realize Apple has done more between the death of Steve Jobs until now? Apple has gone higher, made more revenues, created more value add products before, mostly more than even when Steve Jobs, the founder, was present. And that's what I'm trying to say. People don't build value. People build themselves. I mean, I want to be, for example, in a political party, I have to be the party leader. I have to be the SG. I have to be the secretary general. I mean, I have to be just something. And if I'm not it, notice it's But when it comes to establishment, it's about that thing. How do we push this ministry to go far? And I think even when I was stepping down from, Share the Love Center, which is a very painful thing, I ended up making sure that particular platform tends to expand rather than shrink the whole particular thing. So Africa we really need to embrace that concept where the dream is superior to the one dreaming. That the goal is the dream. The goal is not who dreamt. It's what did he dream. And if we go to that direction, what we dream will always find more expression than who dreamt. So even though who dreamt falls away, what he dreamt stays with us. That's why we have dead men. I always say the world is ruled by dead people.
Man, yeah.
I mean, think about the owners of specific car brands. Think about the people that established the aeroplanes. Think about Colgate. Think about Coca-Cola.
Sure.
It's establishment. If we focus on establishing, it doesn't matter who sits on the throne. If that thing is established, we'll have a better Africa.
How many years to come?
We are pushing towards it. We are pushing towards it, but it's quite unfortunate. In fact, Nelson Mandela the Great, the father of Africa,
Yeah.
I was just looking at his profile the other day, and he actually did 5 years, right? But he became a father, and now when he left, I'm just looking at South Africa now, and I'm just thinking, what if Mandela was there? The great Mandela, what if Mr. Desmond Tutu was there? Would this nation have been like this? So we don't, even peace is established around people. Like if that person is not there, everything he represented goes down the drain. And peace should not be established around an individual. It's not John C.W. is here, there will be peace. No, it's what John C.W. stood for. So even though John C.W. is not there, what he stood for
The
echoes that.
values should be
That's what-
transferred from one
Exactly.
generation
And
to
that's what
another.
Africa needs to embrace. All the way from companies to churches to institutions to governments to economies to businesses. If we establish that syndrome of establishing the idea over who is owning the idea, then our ideas will have a lifespan. But as long as our ideas are centered around who came up with it, Africa is doomed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh. We pray that the Lord will bring leaders. And by the way, I perceive the season is at hand.
Yeah.
But I won't talk much. Moving on swiftly.
Yes,
Um,
Prophet.
Oh, may the Lord honor his word.
Amina.
Now, sir, like 3 weeks ago,
Right.
3 or 4, when we were discussing, I remember when there was fuel crisis.
Yeah.
And we were reflecting on people in Africa who carry solution, and Aliko Dagote came in the picture. And I remember you saying that there were those programs where he was insisting maybe to link with countries within Africa so that we
Right.
can settle this issue of insufficiency and lack once and for all. Now, 2 weeks ago, he was in Kenya. He was invited by the president. Actually, it was a summit called the Africa We Build. And there was the president of Uganda, there was the president of Kenya, and yeah, in absentia, but I think her presence, I don't know. And they had a discussion concerning establishing the refinery in East Africa. I don't want us to go into the politics of who said without consulting who. But from the discussion, is there hope for us, having that, maybe that person is invited to the table, and even without them saying that they had that mind, he had the thought. Actually, it's him saying that he would love to set up that triggered the president to say, actually, we were thinking of such. And I remember there's something the president said. He said that onwards, there's going to be constraints when it comes to exporting raw materials. He even called out the minister, CS, for mining. He's Joho, yeah. And he was like, no, let nothing come out of Kenya before it's processed. So from that discussion and looking at where we are as a country and as a continent, is there hope for us, and what would you say about that?
Hope is a very heavy word. And hope is made. Hope is not something that exists even though it's there, hope is attracted by specific characters and individuals. I happen to have listened to that whole summary concerning the whole thing. And I don't think this is the first time we are generating a conversation around Mr. Aliko Dangote, I think there are several things that we have kind of spoken about. One of it is one of the conversations we had about the oil refinery. It's the biggest in terms of a single distillation.
Yeah.
And as I think that's the word single distillation is what I forgot to put in our previous conversation. The biggest in
But
in
he is
terms
looking
of
forward to be in
he
the
is.
next like 5 years.
Yeah, he said
to
he
be
wants
the
to
largest,
the largest
in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now he's doing around
650, and
650,000.
he's going to 1.2 million now.
1.2 million
Yeah.
is actually the biggest refinery
Sure.
what they are currently producing,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But he's the biggest as far as single distillation,
Sure.
refinery plant. And when you look at people like that, you don't just get there. I think he invested over 12 billion
Oh yeah.
to be able to establish what he was saying. I was looking at the whole structure, the kind of work that is needed to establish such a thing, and the kind of support that is needed from the government to be able to do that. Not necessarily, money or stuff like that, but it can be documentations, approvals, things like that, to be able to fast track and smoothen the whole process. So there is, it's one thing to speak about so and so. It's another thing to develop the structure needed to contain that person. For example, Kenya produces less than 4 megawatts, of power per annum, right? That's the capability we have. So the environment does not favor specific companies to establish in Kenya. Let me give a case example. You have companies in China like BYD. You have many different companies. If you look at the kind of infrastructure as far as electricity is concerned, and this is why you see some of these countries like America and stuff, they end up using nuclear.
Sure.
If you look at the kind of stable electricity they need, it might be a little bit impossible to even think of inviting specific companies. Reason is because there are companies that they need a lot of electricity in order for them to be able to even find a base in Kenya. So there are companies that would tell you, China is actually doing over 2 million. I don't know if you know. Kenya is at less than 4 megawatts. China is doing, if I'm not wrong, like over 2 million. So you can imagine the gap.
Sure.
So it basically tells you, it's not a coincidence. An investor is not attracted by luck.
Yeah.
An investor is not attracted by good words. There is a reality on ground that must be present in order for an investor to come and say, I'd like to set up base in Kenya. It goes beyond, let's pray about it. It goes beyond, let's make a call. It goes beyond, because anyone can be invited in Kenya and just come for dinner.
Yeah.
But the question is, what came from that place? Do we have the infrastructure to host Aliko Dangote? Do we have the capability? Can the government come up and say, we have space? One of the ways you can attract investors, you come up and say, I would like to give job opportunities. Any company that is going to employ approximately 1,000 people and above, we will consider what you call the EPZ, the special economic zones, where you can come and establish free from tax. The government will literally give you land. So you don't need to think about land. All you need to do is to bring your plantation here, because we know you'll be able to give our people jobs. Looking at it now from that, and by the way, maybe we'll turn a blind eye to what the president of Tanzania said. That shouldn't even be a joke, because I'm assuming it really degrades our Kenyan president to that level. I don't even think Mama Samia would have even said that. Of course, there is even the way she was. I was noticing the way she was calling him, Huyu Ruto. And I was wondering, I didn't feel like there was the enough honor needed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's we ourselves, we have degraded ourselves to that level, because the way she was saying, Huyu Ruto, he did not consult me. Yeah, he didn't, like Changamwe, he's not aware. Then now you're imagining, Dangote is probably listening to this, and then the first things he's noticing is, we can't even agree on where the location would be.
I think it's what you're saying,
Right?
that the country is not even larger than the
It's not even-
individual,
exactly.
because you should consider and be diplomatic for
Exactly.
once, yeah?
And come up and say,
Yeah.
okay, this is what is happening, even though we had not spoken about it.
Yes.
That one we'll discuss later, I won't say
Yes,
here,
yeah.
but what is in it for our people? You see, but even to do that, it can already tell you that statement, that there is there is a layer of division even within the East African corridor.
Yeah.
So when such statements are heard, then you are left wondering, if presidents can speak like that,
Oh my God.
I mean, what about we, the average people? I mean, who told President Ruto to say that?
Sure.
Because that person should be fired. How can the Tanzanian president come and say, the president of Kenya did not consult me? I mean, then you are thinking about what they want to build in. Is it Changamwe? Man, that's a huge thing. And if they would not want it, I would appeal to our people, let's take that deal quickly. Why? Because it's going to open up the whole nation. There is a level of infrastructure that is needed. Number one, if you deal with corruption, and this is what Singapore did. Let me explain something about Singapore. Singapore has approximately 6 million Singaporeans. The land mass, the land where Singapore is an island, for lack of a better word. It sits on a very little, tiny property, where even I was looking at how their road network is. Their road network, they don't have much of what we have, like these funny roads entering into the estates in a funny way. There is a way they have done their road network so that they can be able to reserve as much land as possible. So Singapore knew that they did not have a land to compete with. Singapore knew they did not have much of mining to compete with. But Singapore was seated at an economic zone, what I would say. Singapore is what I would call is a nation on transit. Simply meaning it sits on the center of what you call the ship line. It's called transshipment. So basically what happens in transshipment, there is, when you say the word transshipment, it simply means it's like layover, for lack of a better word. When you are using an aeroplane, you are coming from, I want to go to Nigeria, but there is no direct flight to Nigeria. So the flight would go and lay over for 2 hours in Rwanda, for example. Then from Rwanda, you'll be able to get a direct flight, or Uganda, or whatever, whichever nation, South Africa, whatever. So that's what you call that layover. So in the transshipment department is that Singapore sits at a corner where this transshipment, where ships come, offload, and give to others. You get just like that layover thing. So Singapore had that advantage of the location where Singapore is located. And they know they don't have much. They don't have much land. They don't have much of these things. So what Singapore did, they created an environment that is worthy and attractive to the investor. They made it so simple to invest in Singapore. They cut off a lot of taxations. They cut off corruptions totally. Like, I know right now, many companies that want to come and invest in Kenya, I know that many of those people, they go back frustrated. Why? Because before they get a certain document, they need to connect to this one. Sijui, take me to the minister. Sijui, take me to the permanent secretary. And a lot of unnecessary things. So it ends up making the investor go back home. Why? Because the amount of money he's going to use to register the company.
Yeah.
Forget now, the leaders have their own cut, the presidents have their own cut, the members of parliament have their own cut, the governors. So the guy is so much frustrated. So it doesn't create room and it doesn't attract foreigners to come here. If we want to attract people like Dangote, there are 3 things Singapore did. Number 1, fight corruption. Number 2, deal with taxation. Make it very cheap. Create those special economic zones. Kenya has them, but Kenya is not using them. Create those zones and then say, you know what, anyone that is going to come here with that capability, depending on the size of production you want to deal with, we will be able to do A, B, C, D for you so that we can lure people. Lastly, investors are lured by policies. You know you're married. You remember how your husband lured you. I mean, even if he was, let's assume he has a certain bad character in him. You can't share that character in public when you're trying to lure a person. That's what we need to do as a country. We need to, shield out these bad parts and be like, what? If an investor in America is seeing every time there is about to be election, his companies are going to be distracted. He will not be able to make money. his cars will be burnt and everything. That investor will be afraid to come to Kenya. Why? Because the infrastructure, the security infrastructure cannot accommodate that particular person. So it ends up sending a bad image to locals concerning individual investors. They might not be able to come here. What am I saying, my long and short? We must create the infrastructure that can be able to lure specific people to come here. And please, I beg the Kenyan government, please deal with middlemen. I know a lot of investors. I know an investor that wanted to come real estate business. I know the investor personally. All of a sudden, I'm not seeing the investor in Kenya. He had to go back to his nation. Then I actually came. He was from the UK. Only for me to realize that what he was called to do, let's say, for example, you are being given the housing project, right? The amount of money that you're giving as kickback, it doesn't even make sense. And this is why you find substandard things. Either they're using substandard materials. Why? Because he has to give a certain cut back to the person that connected the job. Before he realizes he has no money to build, the guy goes back to the UK. I know the person personally. Then I asked the person, what's the problem? He says, man, you have not established, the word we are using today, you have not established a suitable environment for me as an investor to bring $1 billion and invest it in Kenya. We need to deal with that. The earlier I deal with it, the better.
You know, the president said part of why we are discouraging the investors is because we are not patriotic, especially when it comes to the newspaper. You know, the image they are selling about Kenya, it's not the right image. Do you concur, or is it part of these prerequisites that you are saying that we need to establish when it comes to attracting the investors?
Let me say this. I have been married for quite some few years, not many. What breaks a marriage is what is hidden over what is public.
Wow.
It is the hidden things that break a marriage. So it's one thing to say the newspapers, you want the newspapers.
And the media.
You want the media, or rather the newspapers. Of course, we are not ignorant to know that we have, again, paid medias.
Yeah.
But clearly, we can all see what is paid and what is true. You want a marriage to exist, but you don't want to be honest. So you want people to hide the fact that you beat your wife. That when your aunties and your uncles come to your house,
You're just smiling.
you smile, and then we ask you, hey, Nani, Anne, what is happening? Why is one side of your face big?
I just fell.
Thank you very much. And that's what many leaders in Kenya want people to do. What is happening to Kenya? No, Kenya just fell. But in literal sense, we are beating Kenya.
Sure.
We are milking money out of Kenya. We are corrupt about Kenya. So if you don't want the newspapers to report the wrong thing, do the right thing. Because once we do the right thing and then the media reports something wrong, then we as a people, we have the right to say, no, you media, you are biased. If we come and say, for example, Shah spent approximately 104 billion, right? Then you come and hear Adani wanted to get the same contract for approximately 30 years and all those kind of things, and they will end up taking the title deed of the, the airport.
Yeah.
So many things around it. Then we are going to surrender our airport for all those years. The question then we are left asking, if media projects that, is it true? Is it true that Adani was to come here? Yes. Is it true that Shah costed us 104 billion as opposed to 2, 3, 4, 5 billion? Yes. Is it true that approximately 3.5 billion is lost every day? Yes. Is it true that there is abduction? Yes. Is it true that children died in 2024 protest? Yes. Is it true?
It is
so
true.
If it is true, it should be reported. Because if we don't report it, it's the same way with two people staying in a marriage, but deep down in their hearts, they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So if the government wants to change the media, the government should start by changing themselves.
So it's an issue of establishment.
Exactly. And anytime there is wrong projection from the media, the people are not fools. They can tell. That's the way it is.
I pray that the leaders will hear the council. You know, it goes beyond. That's what I'm hearing you say. It goes beyond the desire to build something. We need to have the conducive environment to be able to exercise that. You mentioned something about taxation, especially when it comes to investor. You know, I was looking at the different taxation models in the world. to see what's the issue with Africa or Kenya. Because you see, like right now, I'm going to give you an example of a pay slip of a person that earns 50,000.
I can imagine.
Yes, so now these are the deductions. I'm going to give you what that person takes home. NSSF, 3,000. SHIP for health, 1,375. We have housing levy, 750. We have pay as you earn, 5,845. Then the net pay that person goes with is around 39,000. Now that's just the direct taxes. We have VAT, which is 16%. Anytime you're going to buy something, now the 39,000 that is remaining, there is also subjected to another tax. And looking at this, actually I was comparing with countries like UAE. A person that is earning the same amount of money, 150,000. Income tax, 0. Social tax, that is cash shift, 0. Pension, retirement, 0. Housing levy, 0. Total deduction, 0. They go with their full amount, 150,000. I went to a country like Singapore. Pay as you earn, that is the income tax, 0. Shift, 0. Pension, retirement, 0. Housing levy, 0. Total deduction, 0. I went to a country like Estonia. For them, they do major tax deductions. I was not just looking for the countries that don't give tax. For them, they have heavy tax, like for income tax, it's 10,340. Then we have the social tax, that is health, 2,400. Then we have the pension at 3,000. So total deduction is 15,740. So the person, if it's 150,000, they go with 134. If it's in Kenya, they go with 103. If we are going to look at 150,000. Now, looking at this, the reason why Estonia, they are saying they give such amount of tax, actually, mainly it's voluntary, because I'm going to have free medical.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to go to school without having to spend a lot. So looking at this, what's the problem of Kenya and Africa when it comes to taxation? Because people are milked a lot, but it's not reflecting.
Jesus actually never fought it. Jesus says, give to Caesar. He acknowledges that whose face is on the coin. We are dealing with currency. Many people, when they say the coin belongs to God, I don't even know what people are saying. God is very keen to know what belongs to him and what doesn't, even though all things are created for him, by him, and in him, all things exist. The concept here we need to look at is when Jesus was addressing the issue of tax, they wanted to trap him. He says, if you go back to actually verse 19, they wanted to trap Jesus because they wanted Jesus to bring any conversation concerning tax. He says, show me the tribute money. And they brought it to him. In fact, go to verse 18. Let's see, or verse 17. Let's see where the conversation begins from. Look at it. But Jesus perceived, okay, let's go to verse 17. And I want you to see the concept there. Tell us, therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful? So it means taxation is an issue of law.
Oh, okay.
It's not a religious issue. It's not a spiritual issue.
Law.
We are dealing with law.
Yeah.
So Jesus Christ is robust in matters law. Because if he had not known the law of Israel, or rather the law of Rome and the governing platforms, Jesus would have been caught up here. He says, is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? Now they wanted to trap Jesus. Now look at verse 18. Jesus would have had the right to say, don't give to Caesar. I'm the only person. That's what maybe the average church would teach today.
Yeah.
Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, why do you test me, you hypocrites? So they wanted to test Jesus, and the best way to test him was to deal with taxation. Show me the tax money, And so it was an issue of tax.
Yeah.
So it's an issue of money. So they brought him a denarius. Good, thank you very much. Verse 21. And he said to them, whose image and inscription is this? If you just take the normal coin, who has a coin? Do you have a coin here? Maybe, I don't know. Does anyone have a coin? We are all rich.
Cashless.
Hey, you're cashless. No, we need to have a coin. If you just check every coin, the face of an individual, this is why you realize that every president, or rather many of the presidents, they want to leave their faces on the coin.
Sure.
Because that face symbolizes the owner of that currency. If you remember back in then, it was Jomo Kenyatta, then it came to Moi, like that. And he said to them, whose image is in this inscription, verse 21. And they said to him, Caesar's. It's not the face of God. So the church should not only pray for money, for God's sake. We spiritualize many things, and Jesus just asked a simple coin. This issue concerning tax, whose face is on the coin? It is the face of Caesar. Then he said to them, render therefore to Caesar. So what belongs to Caesar? What is on that coin? Which is that denarius, which is the tax. Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. God acknowledges that this mode of taxation, or this mode of coin, or this denarius does not belong to me. It has an owner. So you give to the owner what belongs to the owner, and you give to God what belongs to God. This is why you realize the church tends to say that it means 10% belongs to God. It's still money. And then to Caesar, it belongs what is on the currency. No, that's not the issue. I will not go to the part of what belongs to God. Let's just stick to what belongs to Caesar. Now, the model that Kenya, or rather Africa, is using, Africa tries to make money from milking people. There are very many different models you can actually use, which I can actually say it here on this platform. And I don't know if many of these people listen. There are very many different models you can use. Remember, a nation should not make money from its people.
Yeah.
There is a model Joseph used. So I want to show you the economic model that Joseph used. So Pharaoh now has a dream. And then in that dream, long story short, 7 years, 17 years. And then from that dream, Pharaoh now wanted to find out, how do we deal with the hard times? So remember, God gives every nation 7 years of plenty. It's a code I found out, and 7 years of famine. Yeah. God has a way. Now, he prepares your famine by giving you plenty. But because Africa does not know what to do with plenty, they behave as if they are broke. Because now during famine, they add tax. Like now, for example, we have what you call oil, petroleum. In the petroleum department, we have famine. In fact, the other day, I had to literally, Shell petrol stations did not, Shell, just imagine how big Shell is. They didn't have diesel. At least the ones, I'm not saying all, but the ones I visited. I visited Shell, I visited all those petrol stations. Do you know the petrol station I found diesel? It is a petrol station that we all say, these ones are the people that sell bad oil, and what it was called Oilcom. And the person that was at Shell is the one that was directing me to Oilcom, telling me, go to Oilcom, you'll be able to find diesel. Now, we are at that season whereby they keep saying that either Ukraine, they started by Ukraine, they went to Russia, it's affecting the oil industry. We are now at Iran, for example. And they cut off that main, that position where all these transactions take place. So we ended up now having this famine. If we would have prepared well, China has a 4-year storage preparation of those reserves. 4 years. Kenya, I had is 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
4 years. What kind of war will take place for 4 years? Even if it's, what do you call it? Even if it's World War I, World War II. So what does that mean? It's not because they even after 4 years they'll have a crisis. They will not have a crisis. They know that they have secured themselves for a specific period of time. They have prepared, they have put reserves, they have put all those kind of things. The concept of Kenya is not to reserve the or the concept of Africa. The concept of Africa in most of the time is to milk the people, milk the people, milk the people. And the more you milk the people, you will not have enough people working. Because now you are getting so much from so little. Listen to that, instead of getting so little from so much.
Yeah.
Can I repeat that statement? The concept of Africa is that we use taxation to get so much from so little, few people working, and that you're trying to get much, rather than getting much from many people working. So you get little from many people working over trying to get much, which you will never even get from very few people working. This economic model that Joseph used was more of reserves, not taxation. When there was a problem of famine, Egypt did not go overtaxing the people, that now we have famine issues. No, they had used their reserves. And anytime a nation focuses on reserves, the taxation of that nation will do what? Will shrink. But taxation will always go high anytime there are no reserves. We don't have people that are producing more. So the little production, which is the law of demand and supply, if we have few people producing and more people demanding, definitely the product will do what? Will go high. But in a place like China, you have so many companies. I mean, the other day I was watching a company that is claiming they have done over 500 projects, the LED screens. It was on social media, the LED screen. They are the biggest companies that have done over 500 churches, specifically churches on providing the screens, the LED screens. And then I was just listening to them and I was thinking, so, I mean, I went deeper to find out the company, what kind of things do you do, the amount of power they need. I mean, they're just companies in Kenya you cannot even imagine. But once they come, they are able to bring a whole infrastructure that can create job opportunities that now the head of the one that was taking people abroad, there will be no need to take people abroad because now Kenya will be the abroad that people will be coming to. So we will need to create those economic models where you can tax less because your reserves are looking better. But anytime you do not know, you have a risk factor of where to get the next product, then the taxation will definitely be high. Why should you be having income tax, value-added tax, so many different kinds of tax? If you're just going
just on the same person.
Just on the same person, it doesn't. But if you make that person productive and get little from him, and then you have like 8 million people working, or rather, for example, the government of Kenya should focus and say approximately 70% of Kenyans should be working. If 70% of Kenyans are working, and even if you just do 5% or 4% tax, you'll have more than having 2 million Kenyans working, and then you're overcharging them. You understand what I'm trying to say? We should not even be having tax. We have tax on different kind of things. You can imagine you have tax on sanitary towels. You have tax on things that don't even matter. And then the kind of things they use for pleasure, they are for free. Does it even make sense?
Doesn't make sense.
That's a choice. It's a choice you're making. But when it comes to things like sanitary towels, it's not a choice a woman makes. That is the nature of how a woman is. There are several things I think that we should need to look at so that by the time you're talking about bringing the whole taxation down, it can only be brought down, number one, by a nation understanding, or rather coming up to a position whereby they are self-sustaining. So people are not afraid to do ABCD. And if we do that, this model that Joseph applied, which I'll be teaching probably one day or later, and I hope many governments will just listen. Sometimes they ignore and they think, they're just young people, they're just talking. At least we are talking the right thing. Something that can be able to change the nation. That's my point of view when it comes to taxation. We need to be able to be very competitive with our people. We need to make sure that there is no taxation on medicines, there is no taxation. I mean, some things should be totally free. If you make that taxation very cheap and very affordable, you'll have more people working.
Let me ask you a question, especially when it comes to international relations. There's a scripture I want you to tell me your thoughts on it. It is in the book of Matthew 17 from verse 24, where Jesus is talking about taxing the strangers. Then the citizens are set free. Because as much as there's that, from what you're explaining, we also need those relations because we are going to chase away the investor.
Right.
So let me read Matthew 17, verse 24. This is what
very
the Bible
important
says.
words,
Yeah. When they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?" And he said, "Yes." And when he had come into the house, Jesus anticipated him, saying, What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take customs?
Or taxes.
Yes. From their sons or from the
from
strangers? Verse 26. Peter said, from the strangers. Then Jesus said to him, then the sons are free. So he was implying, because the temple tax was for the Jewish people.
Yes.
So he felt they are what you're saying, they are milking from the same people who should not be. Even the Roman, actually, was studying how Roman used to fund their countries. They didn't charge their citizens. So in regards to now the not chasing the investors, where is the balance?
The balance is basically to create an environment. Like, for example, there's something I said earlier, which is called the EPZs.
Yeah.
It's a very good idea if it is implemented well. We have different nations that have implemented that model, and it has ended up, for example, do you know the main assembly line of Apple is in China? And that's why Trump is really fighting to bring most of these, what you call the biggest brands in America, they have their production lines in China. Reason is because it is cheaper to produce in China. An American product is cheaper to produce an American product in China. So when Trump came, one of the things he did was to establish an economic concept whereby it is as competitive as it is. Producing an iPhone in China and producing an iPhone in America would be very competitive. And remember, the investor is looking for where it is suitable for him, not where he'll spend more money. So the American president now came up to task and realized, wait, wow. So we are, how do you have iPhone producing in a different place? How do you have these companies producing in a different place? Why can't they come and produce here? But if you really check, what makes these companies go to produce in different locations? And that's why I started by speaking concerning Singapore. Singapore created those realities on ground. It made it so competitive to produce. So many companies set up their headquarters in Singapore. That's how Singapore became an economic hub. It's not because of Singaporeans. It's because they knew that they had these strangers that had these nice things, and that's why you're asking, when it comes to strangers, how do we deal with it so that we don't chase them? Create an environment that is soothing to them, that can make the investor. What's the goal of investment? Profit.
Yeah.
So if I have $1 billion and I want to invest in Africa, and I hope you know Africa is now the center gravity of investors.
Sure.
I mean, investors are turning to Africa to deal with huge investments. Then I think about Rwanda, which is actually a very clean country, very competitive in nature, but very small. And then I'm thinking about, I'm going to bring my 1 billion, and I will be able to get 1.5 billion because their tax are competitive. I mean, everything for them is ABCD. Then I think about Kenya or Uganda or Tanzania, whichever the nation. I will always look for where my investment will have maximum return. Right? Doesn't matter the number of people, just maximum return at the shortest period of time. That's the concept of investment. Maximum return at the shortest period of time. Invest little, gain much at the shortest period of time. That's the concept of investment. And if we can look at it from that strangers that now Jesus was talking about there, by the way, I don't want to touch about temple tax. Because should we pay tax as the church? I don't want to touch that. And that's what Jesus was trying to address here. And by the whole concept of saying that strangers should now be done all these ABCDs, we should be welcoming. There's a Bible scripture that says we should be very welcoming to strangers.
Sure.
Because
Some
in so doing, have
angels.
entertained angels.
Sure.
So we have angelic companies, people that are like angels. They can come and employ 5,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000 people. Those are the kind of people you bring on board. So you create an environment so suitable, that that person has no reason from thinking that I don't need to buy property. The government has given me property. We have a lease agreement for like 15, 20 years. So even if I bring $2 billion, how many people, young people in Kenya will be? But this constraint where before the person does this, there is this tax, there is that tax. We are chasing investors. Let's create suitable environments for investors to see the need to bring their money to Kenya as opposed to any. Let us be the alternative. That if someone is thinking Africa, they are thinking Kenya. So Kenya should not just be known for wildlife, because if you look even in the what you call the people that come from outside, what do you call them?
Tourists.
The tourist industry. It's under making money.
Yeah.
The amount of money the tourism industry is way below their margins, what they should be making. Why? Because Kenya should not just be known for antelopes and lions. Kenya should also be known as a big hub for infrastructure, development, economic systems, all those kind of things. Less taxes on strangers, more development. You'll be able to, and by the way, Kenya is a superpower in Africa. With all our problems, we still are part of without Kenya, Africa cannot decide. I mean, nations like Botswana should not be running from Burkina Faso, Botswana. They shouldn't be running from Russia and what? They should be running to Kenya.
Sure.
Kenya has enough money. Nations should be running. If Uganda wants a loan, we should be running to Kenya. But now, if the president of Uganda owns shares in, is it true? He has shares in our oil, petroleum, KPLC, Kenya Pipeline Company. Where are we going as a nation?
It's so unfortunate.
That's it.
It's so unfortunate. Actually, I was seeing a documentary, and our capital was ranked 5th when it comes to development. So the point you're saying that we really need to invest on developing even our city. It's so important. You know what, teacher, ambassador, doctor, it's so frustrating that all these answers are being found in the church, in the Bible, because you are using the scriptures.
No other book.
Then you hear believers say, go stick to ministry, go. I don't know what we have perceived. Actually, earlier before we came live, you are explaining to me how you have found out how much we have been missing as the church.
Totally missing.
Being
totally
confined.
Missing. Yeah, we created this wall.
Yeah.
And then we entered the wall. We created a room. Then the church we entered the room. And then if you really look out, and that's why I stepped down, based on the size of that room, it's only big to people that have not seen the outside world. Can I repeat my statement? That room is only big to people that have not seen beyond the room. When I stepped out of that room, I realized, what are you saying? You know, the other time I went for protest, you know, the Bible says they are like sheep without a shepherd.
Yeah, so scattered.
Let me tell you, as much as we have young people that are born again, the biggest number of young people outside there, they need Jesus. So these rooms where we create, just like this house, and then we all enter inside, and then now everyone that's outside, stay outside. It's very unfortunate.
We are light to the light instead of light to the darkness.
Completely.
Oh my. We're going to take a short break, and when we are returning, we're going to talk about debt. Because as we speak, Kenya, whatever we gain, 70% goes to service loan. Actually, I was looking at the budget of the loan that we need to service. It's about 1.9 trillion this year. When you look at our budget 2025, 2026, it's 4.6 trillion. You see? So the revenue that we have, 70% goes. So we are left with no other option than to go and borrow again. We are repaying a loan, but we have to keep borrowing. It's a trend that I would love you to address, and how we can, as Africa, we can break free from this concept, because as you know, Kenya was denied a loan from the World Bank because of this credit history. So there's a lot that we need to talk. Do not touch that dial. This is the church and the state. And I have on set Ambassador Teacher John C.W. And he is going to answer any of your questions. I'm going to come and sample your questions. He's going to respond to them. So do not touch the dial. Continue sharing, continue engaging with the broadcast. Yeah, we are taking a short break.
Welcome to Zulamon Group of Schools, where every child is inspired to dream, challenged to grow, and equipped to succeed. Nestled in the heart of Kano, Murang'a, Zilamon Group of School is more than just a learning institution. It is a home of excellent character and purpose. From daycare and creche to PP1 and PP2, grade 1 to grade 6 and junior secondary, we provide a complete and nurturing academic journey tailored to the need of today's young learners. At Zilamon, we believe every child carries unique potential, and that is why our classrooms are designed to encourage curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking. Our teachers are passionate, highly trained, and dedicated to creating a warm, supportive environment where learners feel confident and valued. We combine strong academic with hands-on learning, digital skills, arts, sports, and spiritual development, helping children to become well-rounded, responsible, and future-ready. We don't just teach, we mentor, guide, and inspire. Our facilities are safe, spacious, and child-friendly, with playgrounds, modern learning materials, and a culture that promotes discipline, respect, and teamwork. Parents trust us because we partner with them, ensuring every learner receives personalized attention, holistic support, and measurable progress. At Zilamon, education is not just about passing exams, it's about preparing children to excel in life, lead with confidence, and make a positive impact in the world. Enroll your child today and join a community where excellence is celebrated, talents are nurtured, and dreams are made possible. Zilamon Group of Schools, educating hearts, inspiring minds, and shaping tomorrow's leader today. Admissions ongoing. Visit us in Kano, Murang'a. For more information, call us on +254 117 111 999 or visit us www.zilamon.ac.ke. Zilamon Group of Schools, for God, for generations.
Welcome back. This is the church and the state. We are talking matters, politics, leadership, and governance. And with me is none other than Ambassador Dr. John C.W. He has been helping us navigate. When we were having a short break, I asked him a question regarding what we should do to cultivate the environment. And I felt it's something you should tell us, you should tell the country, so that we can have that environment that can support the investments that we are looking up to as a nation and a continent.
Growth is about environment. I mean, have you ever taken a maize seed and put it on top of a table? What does it remain as? It remains as a maize seed.
Yeah.
All its potentials are locked up in it.
Yeah.
But you will never see it until the right environment is done, what is created. So what do? You look for land. You take your seed, you look for land, you look for the right soil. You dig the soil, you plant the seed, you water the seed, you make sure there is enough moisture. You care for the seed by, whatever pesticides and all those kind of things. Whether good or bad is not the issue, but I'm trying to talk about the environment needed. Now, once that environment is established, what happens to the seed? The potential of that seed is seen.
Yeah.
We need to focus on the environment. The potential of this nation called Kenya. If we can just remove this number, the biggest environment, the biggest problem of our environment is corruption. If we can just remove corruption from our environment, you will realize that Kenyans are little seeds that can become a forest. Kenyans are hardworking. I've been to different nations of the world. I mean, Kenya cannot, there are few nations can come up to task when it comes to Kujituma. Among those nations is Nigeria. People that, if you wake up, I've been to Nigeria severally. Man, those people, anytime I see them, I see Kenyans. They are workaholics. Kenyans are the same. But now the question is, you find them in bars, you find them alcohol, drugs, and all those things. Why?
To manage the
they are
stress
managing
and
what they're
everything,
trying to do. We are not saying that that's the reason, but we're just trying to say if we create a different environment,
Yeah.
a working environment, an environment that is established on specific principles, I'm telling you, you'll be able to see a nation thrive you have never thought about before. That's the thing I'm trying to say. That environment is very vital. And in as much as you plant a seed and you don't create an environment around it, or rather even forget planting, you take a maize seed and put it on top of this table, you never see the potential of that seed. You never see the potential of Kenyans until you create an environment suitable for those Kenyans. If we focus on the right environment, we'll make sure that we have the right Kenyans.
Like the issue of power we were talking about, you see, like as at now, it's like there is rationing.
Right.
The power is not enough to cater for us. So like bringing 650 capacity, you know, within the East Africa or Kenya, wherever, and you need to supply such power. What should we do? What is the right environment? Because I was looking at, you're talking about corruption. This is what we call Kimoral Dam. Do you know 80 billion was lost because of that one dam that was meant to supply power to a very larger area?
Yep.
You mentioned something about what China did.
China, let me give you tea. I hear nowadays it's called tea.
It's tea, man.
Sit well, sit well. Can I give you some tea?
Yeah.
So let me give you some tea. China, in the early 40s, 1940s, 1950s, China had approximately around 21. Ask me now how many dams China has.
How many dams?
21,000 dams.
Wow.
Let me
Times
explain.
1,000.
Let me explain what one dam can produce. China has a dam that can produce that you see the power of Kenya? China has a dam. Among the dams, one dam that can produce it. One dam from China can feed Norway with power. Just one dam. I'm telling you. One dam can, literally China can power Norway. China can power Uganda. China can, one dam from
So
China.
our dams are like a pothole in their
Yeah, they're looking and say that we have dams. China is asking, what do you call that? That's called a dam? You know why? It's not because necessarily, and by the way, I hope you know Kenya has a lot of water. A lot of water. Do you know the fish that we have in Kenya, the one at Lake Victoria? Do you know what percentage of Lake Victoria Kenya owns? You won't believe it. Kenya owns 6% of Lake Victoria. 6-7%. Much of it is Uganda and Tanzania. Kenya owns 6% of Lake Victoria. That's why you see they are fighting for the Migingo Island. Kenya owns only 6%.
Why
All
so?
the fish, that's the portion of the
that is within
that
the
is within the
boundary.
boundaries of Kenya.
Okay.
So when I say 6-7%,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
Okay.
Most of it is Tanzania, 50-something%, Uganda, like that. Now, if you really look at it, how do we, with such an infrastructure, you say you want to deal with power. By the way, Nigeria is worse. You don't. Nigeria, power lines. I think South Africa, the same thing is beginning to happen. Kenya should not experience these things, especially with the concept you're saying that some 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 80 billion, that would have made more megawatts get to this country. So if we are not even able to deal with dams, and yet the power line of a nation, because we are not dealing with nuclear per se, we generate power from that concept. How is it that Kenya, can you imagine if Kenya would just focus the next 5 years, we are going to do 1,000 dams. Do you know what that would mean to the electrical? It means the electricity, the power, the amount of money we are using to pay electricity would
Go down.
But anytime the law, this is how the law of demand and supply works, and I keep repeating it. Anywhere where the supply is more than the demand, the price of the product goes low.
Yeah.
Anytime where the demand of a product is more than the supply, the price of the product goes high. So the reason why Kenya Power, and by the Kenya Power operates as a monopoly, I hope you know that, they monopolize the system. The reason is so that they can put 1,000, for every 1,000, 300-400 goes to tax. Instead of 20, 30, 40 shillings.
Don't even mention 50 bob right now. If you put token,
What do you have?
40, 39 shillings goes to tax.
Really?
Aye,
Just imagine.
it's bad.
So, ni mbaya. Ni mbaya. If you really look at it from that point of view, then you see that, again, I repeated by saying, we need to create that environment. We need to arrest people. Oh, you pray to God that leader is coming. Even if you stole 20 years ago, at yeah, he's dead, his family is not dead. Your children will not enjoy what belongs to Kenyans. No. Because imagine 80 billion Kimwarel Dam, just one dam.
Yeah.
What could it have done to the people, to the locals of that area?
Right.
Just imagine. Let's even say, make sure you have the biggest dams in every county. Say that we are going to make one big, massive dam that will be able to generate this amount of electricity. Make sure that we have ABCD in place. Kenya would have a different security structure.
Yeah.
But now, a nation like Kenya saying that there will be power rationing, the president coming and saying there will be power rationing, you shouldn't even be saying such kind of words. Because why are we even getting our nation to power rationing? When we have someone we can follow to give us our 80 billion. When we have someone we can follow to give us our 104 billion. By the way, do you know Adani was still paid damages? Hey, Ebo Google. Google now. Google now. Let's see how much money Adani was paid. Let the media department Google. Let me not tell you it myself. Find out if Adani was demanding damages. And let's see how much Adani was paid. Let's see how many. How much was Adani paid for damages? How much are they demanding and how much are they paid for damages? You will not believe it. Has anyone found it? It shouldn't be hard to locate it. Unless you are misspelling the word Adani. Or don't write Adonai. Have you seen it?
I think it's an issue.
It's an internet issue. Just find out. You find out as you're having a conversation. Find out and let's not finish this thing. You will be able to see. How much? Anyone has found it? Huh? Have you seen it? Look there. Based on reports from the late 2004-2005, Kenya has been in negotiations to pay compensation to the Adani group following the cancellation. Just imagine. Here are the key details regarding the damages compensation. I hope you are showing these people online. I hope they are seeing the same thing. These are the details. Project cancellation. Can you imagine? President William Ruto cancelled a 96 billion, approximately 736 million power transmission project and a $2 billion airport modernization project with the Adani Group in November 2024, following the U.S. bribery allegations. Remember the U.S. came and said Adani was bribing and stuff. Again. But you see, Kenyans had already said this. Do you remember it was when the U.S. said that now the president came and cut off? But Kenyans were already complaining. So does the Kenyan government listen to U.S. or the Kenyan government should listen to Kenyans? Negotiated payout. Look at this. Kenya has been negotiating a compensation settlement with reports indicating a potential payout of at least, I'm not saying it is that way, at least 5 billion, roughly 39 billion for the terminated energy contract. Can you imagine you're going to pay that's the word at least. It can be at most 10 billion. Purpose of payout. The payment is intended for what reason? I hope media team you're showing this live because I'm not seeing it. I hope you're not just reading things and the people are not seeing what we are reading. Purpose of payout. The payment is intended to cover cost incurred by the Adani Group for preparatory work, legal fees, and development of project proposal. Can you imagine that a proposal, you know the way you had to start a chicken proposal, you write a proposal. We are paying Adani because they did a proposal on paper, rather than full damages of the lost profit. Initial fees. Court documents indicated that the Adani Group previously paid about 6.4 million, which is $50,000 for a review fee regarding the JK. Can you imagine? This is what is happening. And many people don't know that. Imagine Adani was paid. Now, let me say, you know, someone wants Adani to be paid because it's a kickback.
Yeah.
Something will come back to them.
Yeah.
These things need to change in this country.
The system is messed up.
And we can't have the right people in the wrong system.
Yeah.
It has to be the right people in the right system. And don't let anyone tell you. Do you remember in 2021, CG, there was deep state. Do you remember when Uhuru and former President Uhuru and the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga? People are talking about deep state, and then Ruto cannot be the current President Ruto cannot be ABCD deep state. That thing doesn't exist. It's a lie. Kenyans are the deep state. And not let anyone try to tell you, oh, we can. There is nothing our leaders can do without us. Actually, should I say, there is nothing they should be able to do without us.
Although they do.
Did you know that Kenya is paying damages for just saying no to Adani? We are giving Adani over 5 billion for saying no. Then someone wants Adani to say no, because either way, if they say yes or no, their cut is there. Just imagine.
And this money is the Kenyans who go to work daily, who
Exactly.
are the same people speaking and
Exactly.
raising concerns, are going
Exactly.
to pay, because it's not
It's
the
taxpayers'
government.
money. They don't feel the pain. They're just going to take that 5 billion. From that 5 billion, there will probably be a kickback of 1 billion to some 2, 3, 4 people. And then the matter just die like that. That Kimorel thing, we need to follow these things. We need to follow them. Who said that these people should be paid? You're going to pay them with your own money. Where is this Kimorel 80 billion? You're going to pay them with your own money. No games. If we take Kenya towards that direction, we'll have a free nation.
But they said we have so many scandals in a day, so that when you see kwa newspaper
It's
that
like another
this amount
normal
of
thing.
it has become a normal
It's
thing.
a normal thing. And we need to make sure that corruption is abnormal.
Yeah.
Because even the people coming up, we are not coming up to change much. We are saying that it's our time to eat. That's the fear. Many young people are not coming up because they can change it. They also want their time, and it's their turn now. And it's unfortunate if that's the direction Kenya goes, we'll not have a nation to look up to.
One Pan-African said that the highest paying job in Africa, it's called corruption.
It's true.
You get a lot without working.
It's
so
true.
high paying, and it's so unfortunate that
Very.
we have such, for a country, for a continent that is so full of potential.
Guess what?
Uh-huh.
It's about to change.
It's about to change.
Guess who will change it?
Yes,
Me and you.
me and you. Talking of change, someone was asking, would you be going for a political seat?
You're setting me up.
No,
eh?
I'm not setting. It's
Of
what
course
they're
you are
asking.
asking. Of
Maybe
course
you
they
can
know you are
write
their
there. So you wrote that.
I know you are their mouthpiece.
Yes, I have to.
I am not going anywhere. I have been everywhere. You can't go where you have been.
Okay.
I am everywhere.
So you're already there.
Yeah, I am. If you're talking about church, I'm in church. If you're talking about governance, I'm in governance. So I'm not going for any political seat. I am everywhere.
I think for that they mean MCA, MP,
I am everywhere.
governor, the president. But as you're saying, you're everywhere.
Maybe Godfrey is going for a political seat.
Yeah, because we need sober leaders. I think this agitation that is with Kenyans,
Yeah.
and also, I've been seeing even those flyers. They're calling you the sixth. I don't think it's just because it's just politics normally. It's because we have so many problems, and people feel maybe you have the solution. I don't want to insinuate anything because you have not said anything.
Have I said anything?
But I think my point was that we need sober men, people who are not bent by the system, but they are able to dictate the course of how you redefine dictatorship. I don't want us to go to that
To that
detail because people may
direction.
think, this man is bringing some kind of weird
You see,
This
for me,
is-
for me, I've been called by so many people. Yesterday, was it yesterday or today? Today, I've had a very huge group reach out to me, and they came to see me in my office. And I was just thinking to themselves, myself, and I'm thinking, why would you even leave that far, come to here? I mean, come here to the village and try to talk to me about A, B, C, D concerning leadership and stuff like that. I am aware where the nation of Kenya currently is. I am very aware. I am also aware that one individual cannot be able to do everything. That as much as Elijah is on ground, Elisha should already start being prepared.
Sure.
As much as Elisha is on ground, Gehazi was the rightful potential. The thing should not have ended with Elisha. It would have gone with Gehazi, then Gehazi passes down to that, like that. But what destroyed Gehazi? Money. Just like it's the same thing that destroys most of our ministries, same thing that destroys most of our political leaders and stuff like that. I know there are problems in Kenya. We have already started solving these problems. If you listen to such broadcasts, a few years ago they were not a reality. I mean,
right.
the church would almost shun themselves away from such
The
conversations.
dirty game. Yeah.
Exactly, they call it leader politics is dirty. But slowly by slowly, we are beginning to turn around that narrative that the work of believers is to just be there on Sunday and sing songs to the Lord. No. The work of believers, that's why I've used the word everywhere. I'm not claiming to be omnipresent like God, but the whole concept I'm talking about is that light is everywhere. If it's day, light is everywhere. Light is in Mombasa, light is in Nairobi, light is in Uganda. I mean, as long as it's day in your nation, light is. So just like my concept on believers, that believers should be everywhere. Believers should not just be in the church. Believers should be everywhere, building a network that can be able to sustain a society. Can you imagine if Joseph was not on ground? Do you know who would have suffered? Many people think is Egypt. No, Egypt is too small.
world.
The Bible says, and the whole world came and to buy grain from Joseph. So sometimes we might really look down on specific things, and everyone is fighting to be a pastor. But you see, it's not a pastor that ended up saving the world. It was a king. So let's make sure we have both a king and a priest. Whoever that it is, I'll be willing to support them. Even if it's you. Me, this is my concept. I want to be part of what is working without necessarily being the main man. Can I repeat that?
Wow.
I just want to be part of what is working
Even
without
if you're-
necessarily being
the
the main man.
Yeah.
You understand? Like now in your wedding, you have a husband,
Yes, I
but
do.
I'm part of your wedding.
Yes.
I am part
You
of
did
what is
good
working.
job, you-
By the way, did I do a good
Yeah.
job?
Oh, yes, you did.
Nilikuorganize.
It was amazing. Oh, yeah. You
Nilikuorganize.
beautified everything, and
you
we
see?
appreciate
So
that.
that's what we need to do. We don't necessarily need to be the husband to earn, but we can all make sure that we give Anne a good husband.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily need to be the wife to Joseph, but we can make sure that we are participating on that day and even in the future of making. That's what we need to do. We need to be very participatory as the body of Christ. 74% of Kenya is Christian. So the question I'm asking, who is voting if it is not us? That's
So in
what it
short,
is.
you are redefining the politics of the day. You know, many people start with proclaiming that I'm going for this seat before we can see even the works. But you are saying the service to the people, it's not about the seat, it's about working for people. And that's
Exactly.
what you're doing currently.
Exactly.
That's what you mean by you are everywhere.
I-
Like
I-
you're working.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I'm working everywhere. And
Yeah.
I don't even think, I see when people are elected to be presidents, they what are you celebrating? Do you know what kind of job that is? I'm sure there are questions. Are there questions? I'm sure there
No,
are
you
many
know,
questions
when you
online.
said about celebrating,
Yeah.
I remembered, I think it's 2017. We walked for, I don't know whether it's 20 kilometers with drums, you know, singing
Oh my
because
God.
of the.
And you can imagine
Then
all
you
that.
see
All
the
that for that
pain,
person.
yeah.
And then the person ends up. Let me tell you, do you know? I'm looking for the kind of leadership where there will be no tear gas on the street.
Wow.
Unless you are literally an enemy of the state. Look at it this way. People have come out to strike. You are the leader of the nation. You are busy doing what if it is not talking to your people? You should not be busy in China, in Russia. You should be busy busifying your people. You just come out. What is the problem? Kenya needs a father. Kenya doesn't even need
Did
a...
you hear what the president of Tanzania said?
He
That-
said that wachapo viboko. And people are clapping. Like she has, that according to them, she has overused her wisdom. That
And
her
they were the
wisdom,
old people. Actually, I looked to see whether
Definitely.
they are young people.
No,
and I'm
they're old
like,
people. She say, and then you know that kuchapa. I hope you know they don't mean
It's not
necessarily
pinch.
pinching or taking a broom or back in those, someone is saying broom, Bishop. We were beaten by everything.
And whips.
Gen Z, we were beaten by everything.
Yeah.
But what she's saying, kuchapa, it simply means deal with them ruthlessly. How do you talk? How do you say that your people should be dealt with ruthlessly? Me, I'm thinking it this way. If there is a problem on ground, come out to the ground and find out what is the problem. It's a shame for any nation to have doctors on the street.
Yeah.
It's a shame for any government to have nurses on the street. It's a shame for any government to have young people on the street. It's a more shame for any government to have teachers on the street. If we readjust all these kind of things, and it's very easy to do them, if the Lord allows, I will not say much from there.
Oh, Lord,
But I've been asked a lot of questions,
Yeah.
presidency, what.
Yeah.
I've never said anything like that. Me, I just want to be part of, you run. I'll support
No,
you.
you know now, you said that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. So if they decide,
Is that what they're saying there?
yeah, wanasema wasita tu when they're saying, I wish Kenyans would just open their eyes. This is Ben eyes and realize the truth about what you are saying instead of just criticizing you. You know, another person saying if the Kenya leadership was going in the right direction, then teacher is supposed to be. If not, maybe running for that, a president's advisor. You know, people are really responding and they have hopes. So in case they say something, please heed to the Macedonian call.
Are we in Macedonia?
The Kenyan call. Let me call it that way.
I think someone is saying if the youth came together, can you maybe, okay,
Yes,
you ask.
if that was Ben, Carson Ben, if the youth come together and ask you to vie for the presidency for the sake of Kenya, will you accept?
If the youth come
Yes.
together,
Yeah.
it doesn't begin with the youth. It begins with God.
Wow.
The Bible says, believe in the Lord your God, you shall be established. The establishment part is God that does it. The prosperity part is people that do it. So as long as God has willed it and the people are there, let me tell you, Kenya, you can have cry. You can smile
What
your way to the
level are
bank.
we at? Are we waiting for the people, God or both?
Let's say we're on the second level.
Okay.
You know, unatoa maneno
No,
kwa mdomo.
no,
you have a
no,
very
I-
nice way,
I'm
which is
just-
which is
I'm
good. I
just a
know. I
mouthpiece.
know you're playing the advocate of the
Yes.
people. I think that now it's a matter of, look, if Kenyans cannot see, it doesn't affect me. I'm a preacher. I'm a businessman. I'm an investor. I can just, I love having fun in little ways in terms of preaching the gospel. I have so many things I can do. By the way, do you know I take care of animals? Like I like cows and sheep and stuff like that. It's upon Kenyans to open their eyes. Someone was saying, if you're not on one term, you're on two term. No, there is another term, which is called alternative government. We are nowhere among them. What we are just saying is simple. Because even if you say one, there are bad people there and there are good people. If you say two, there are bad people and good people. The problem of Kenya is not terms. The problem of Kenya is leadership. And if we can have leadership that is not biased, a person that will call a spade, you have stolen, you are arrested. Even if you are a chief justice and you are found corrupt, we deal with you perpendicularly. I don't know if that's a word and it can be used there. But if not, we will start using it in the coming government.
And the way you love people, would you hurt people?
I would hurt, would I hurt people?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a nice question. I'll tell you what I'd do. Of course, I taught a teaching that the church
Yes.
is to keys and the state
Sword.
is to the sword. I would use both.
Okay.
You understand that? I'd use both. Reason is because there are people that should be behind bars. You sell drugs, guy. You are corrupt, we deal with you. There is no game. We will put laws, enact laws. Someone is saying, oh, Bishop, please don't. We are going to say it. We are not cowards like some of you.
Yeah.
Why would you steal money for education? Why? How many children are home for you to enjoy with your wife? Why would you steal money for drugs? Mama Lucy has been complaining among the hospitals. There is no money for drugs. Do you know there's a girl, I don't know if you know, there's a girl I helped the other day.
I saw it trending online. I saw it. The one with Kenyatta issue.
Oh my God, many people think people fake. On her thigh, on top here, she has a hole. You would not want to see it. And I'm not exaggerating it. So when I was told about it, I was like, okay, let me come and see and try to. Let me tell you, when you see those people screaming, my dad died in Kenyatta, so I know the negligence in some of these hospitals. But again, if you decongest Kenyatta, I'm assuming the negligence will not even be there. Do you know one doctor serves how many people? Over 6,500. Yeah.
And
by the way,
supposed to be around. I think one doctor is supposed to have a ratio of around 1,000.
very few people, less even than that.
Yes.
Can I give you another statistics? Do you know how many neurosurgeons we have in Kenya?
Please tell us.
Around 580. 580.
With all those cases, no wonder people go to India.
580. That's the number of neurosurgeons we have. How 580 to 57 million people.
We have people studying that course and graduating every year, or they are going for the greener pastures.
It's a course that is under, because you see, when you first go for medicine, you add those years in order for you to deal again with. So many people don't even see the need to, because they don't see where they'll be accommodated.
Wow.
You have over approximately 580 neurosurgeons. 580. Do you know what that means? Like, you will see me at my convenience. You're in Mandera. Why won't you die when you need a surgeon? Why won't you die?
So the Kenyatta Hospital congestion.
It's one of the biggest problems. And if we are losing approximately 4 billion a day, we can build Kenyatta in 1 or 2 days per county. If we just take 3.5 billion times 2, that's 7 billion. We can build Kenyatta. In 2 months, you can have Kenyatta National Hospital in every county. So you decongest Kenyatta. You know what that will do to the nurses abroad? They will stop washing old people.
Yeah.
Because we have Kenyans that are very skilled, but because there are no jobs, they end up taking the current jobs there. Yeah. They'll definitely come back home. We have the best nurses in America. By the way, do you know something? You know the average doctor, a doctor in the US, how much they're paid per annum?
How much are they paid per annum?
30 million. Yeah. 25, 30 million. Kenya, we are looking at around 94,000 a month. 100,000 a month, 60,000 a month. So even if you do 200, even if you do 200, 200 times 10, that's 2 million.
Yeah.
They are paid approximately 30 million in there. Oh, Bishop, you can't. Why shouldn't we compare? Why shouldn't we compare? Since when? How many years of independence?
On streets because they are not even paid.
It's a shame. And yet you hear that they want to be paid 7 billion, yet that money has been lost somewhere.
Yeah.
Why don't you close that loophole and pay these people?
Or even we are paying for something we didn't use, the damages thing.
We have a lot we can do and change our nation. So it's very possible. So when the time comes, right now we are just trying to show Kenyans we have alternative thinking. We don't need to make noise. We need to sell our voice. Kenya is not without a voice. Open your eyes and see.
In the days of power, the people will be willing, I believe. Now, let's go to the debt issue.
Right.
What do you think is the solution? Because Africa and Kenya, to be specific, we have been captivated. You know, we are in captivity when it comes to, we can never grow because if to meet a budget, just 4 trillion a year, we have to go borrowing. At the same time, 70% of our revenue, we are paying those loans. there's a lot that is at stake, because I was looking at the amount that is paid loan every year, and I was looking at what they can build, and I was seeing it's like 100 Kenyatta hospitals. I'm seeing it's, I don't know how many thousands of kilometers of roads. A lot can be done by this money that we are servicing this loan, because there's the principal and there's the interest that keeps on accumulating, because we have to borrow again every year to meet our budget. So what's the solution?
There are so many types of debts. Among them is what you call the odious debts. What we need to do as a willing government, I want to advise the incoming government, in any assumption that they would be willing on that day to help the people. Kenya needs a serious audit. And we shouldn't do an audit for last year, or so that no one would say it's because you are ABCD tribal issue. No, we need to do a serious audit from 1963. At least then, when the government was handed to us, you know, by the white man. A serious audit of specific things, and I want you to hear them being mentioned. Number one, land audit. We need to know who owns what and why do you own it. Do you know we have people that own property as big as Kwale? We have people that are county. We need to find out land audits. We need to find out what you call when you tender audits. We need to find out payment audits. We need to find out education audits, you know. Things like bursaries, things like all those kind of things. Kenya needs a serious audit. And let me say this, by the way. Let's even assume Kenya is in debt, which I don't believe Kenya is in any debt. If you look at, by the way, there's a time Uhuru said he had left. When he left, the amount of money he had paid and everything.
You're saying as it now it's like 12
approximately
trillion?
12 trillion going to 13 trillion. And it's getting worse by the day. And by the way, whatever this leader has borrowed in 3 years, it's beyond what someone has borrowed for the last 10 years.
But they are saying they have done much than what they did.
It's true. Let's assume they have done much. Let's assume we have the, what do you call it?
The housing project.
The Talanta Stadium. You see, many people don't understand. And sometimes the problem of being ignorant is being ignorant. No one has a problem with Talanta Stadium. By the way, have you seen the stadium? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I've not been in, but I've passed by. It's an amazing stadium. Why wouldn't I want such a stadium? The issue is not the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The issue is the cost.
Yeah.
What does it cost us to service that loan? What does it cost the taxpayer to build? If what would it? Do you know it's more expensive than stadiums abroad? Yeah, go study it. By the way, I would like you to, the people Googling, please Google before you leave here. How much is the Talanta Stadium more expensive than the Arsenal stadiums, Chelsea stadiums? Study it. The question I want to ask, are we that dumb that we cannot tell that Kenyans have no problem? Who has a problem with housing project? We have a problem with how it's being conducted. Who are the people receiving the awards, the tenders? What amount of money? I asked this simple question and I'll repeat it again. This money is public money.
Yeah.
Is it right? It's the housing levy. The land is public land. Why are we buying the houses? It's a very simple question. What options do we have? What can we do to give our people homes? That's what the focus of every government should be. What can we do to give free education? What can we do to give, it's right there. Based on 2026 reports, 60,000 seat Talanta Stadium is set to become more expensive. You thought I was kidding? Than Arsenal's Emirates Stadium. Who knows the teams in Kenya? At least we know the word Arsenal. With the total cost of Kenyan project, including interest, estimated over 100 billion to 148 billion. Compared to the 72 billion, which is 300 million euros, cost of Emirates Stadium. Did you know that? While construction costs are lower, loan interest makes it extremely costly. You see? So before we deal with this interest of paying this, it would have paid more than double what we borrowed. Talanta Stadium Kenya initial construction cost was approximately 45 to 48 billion. But with financing costs and loan interest over 15 years, the cost is projected to reach over. Why would you take such a loan?
This debt issue, it's
It doesn't
becoming
make
a
sense.
burden even to the citizens.
Emirates Stadium Arsenal built for approximately 390 million, which equates to roughly 67 to 72.5 billion. Total cost comparison, Talanta Stadium total project cost is nearly double the cost of building Arsenal. Auntie, do you know Arsenal?
I know Arsenal. Although
We
I'm not
have
a fan.
our amount of money. Of course, no one is a fan. Aki msinipige online.
Oh my
Mimi-
God.
But you're almost representing their red color. It will cost about 100 billion. It will exceed, loan. Kenya officials have noted that 45 billion Kenya shilling loan, when factoring in interest of over 15 years, will exceed 100 billion. Does it even make sense? Kenya shillings, as discussed in Facebook post from Kenya's dossier. Context, 60,000 seater stadium designed for 2027 AFCON is described as having modern features including VR and all those kind of things. Who has a problem with this stadium being in Kenya? Do you know how happy I am that this stadium is in Kenya? In fact, I would want this stadium to be in every county. The issue is not the structure. The issue is the cost, the loan cost, the kind of things, all those kind of things is what I'm now trying to say.
From
What-
45
It
to
doesn't
over
make sense.
100 billion.
And when you try to shout these things, someone comes up with a tribal thing. Why didn't you say when so and so? You see how Kenya is so backward? So we bring tribal cards, we speak unnecessary things in such platforms. What can Kenya do to reduce these things? Number one, very simple. Very, very simple. We need a serious audit. And I've told you from when? Land audit, financial audits, people that,
1963.
all the people that have traded with government. And let me tell you, someone is saying it's difficult. Do you know the power of the president? Do you know what that seat means? That seat means the whole country is under you. All banks, all institutions, all Kenyans, all infrastructure. Can you imagine? All the people laboring. In fact, it says Commander-in-Chief of the Defense, all defense forces, everything is under you. You can know where the money went if you really want to know. You know why many people cannot do it? You can't fight what?
What you're part of?
Kenya's secret is audit. Because I think you know we have a very good auditor. The auditor, the auditor general, very amazing. She comes out and imagine if that audit gets a serious leader that will back up, that will not use police. Imagine if the EACC will get serious people and will not use police and say, you know what, move back. All these people that have stolen from this country, you'll be so sure Kenya has no debt. And even if Kenya does, we'll pay it with the people that took money from Kenyans. We can remove Kenya out of debt. Now you can imagine every 70 shillings, every 100 shillings, 70 goes to.
70 goes
Now
to
imagine
7
if we reduce that debt to every 100 shilling, every 10 bob goes to debt. Imagine you would have how much. And by the way, the 30 remaining, the biggest percentage goes to salaries.
Yeah,
Recurrent expenditures and all those kind of things. We are going nowhere. So why won't Kenya borrow when we do not even have money to sustain ourselves? Remember, the borrower is a slave to the lender. Kenya will always be a slave if we continue to borrow. How will Kenya come out of borrowing? Audit. Audit people, audit businesses, audit farms. There is no way you can be a member of parliament and you own houses everywhere in Kenya. How? Let's just do a math. How much are you paid per month? Approximately $1 million, including all those kind of things. So in 12 months, how much should you? Oh, Bishop, you know they have businesses. Why should you? Where are you getting the money? How much is a member of parliament paid in Kenya? It's right there. All this information is public. I hope you know in Rwanda, they are paid peanuts. Oh. Member of parliament in Kenya earns gross salary of approximately 725 to over 1.45 million, inclusive of allowance as of April 2025. This includes 445,000, house allowance of 150,000, various packs such as 300, my God. Gross salary 725, leadership salary, which is 785, car maintenance. You look there. 356, mileage allowance updated to 366, depending on the distance. Why won't they go somewhere for nothing? At we are talking about Kenya, we need a retreat in Mombasa. Stay in Nairobi.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with a retreat in Mombasa? Spending money. Sitting allowance, 5,000 per session. Capped at roughly 120,000 to 240,000 monthly. Airtime allowance, 15,000 per month. Additional benefits, car grant, one-term time of 5.8 million, 88 million grant for vehicles, mortgage loans, access of mortgage facility as low interest car loans, medical cover, comprehensive cover for MPs. So, oh my God. Pension, entitled to a lifetime pension. Are you seeing that there?
Yeah.
Kenya needs serious audit. I don't understand why a member of parliament is paid this and a teacher. And I know they'll come out defending. Oh, you know, we go to different places. Those different places, don't go. Go to your county. Go back to your county. The money you need is in that place. Go and represent your... Do you know we have members of parliament that have never spoken in parliament? They have brought no bill, have never spoken. But they are busy on social media abusing each other.
Yeah, actually, I was wondering at what time do they work? Because it's one rally to the other, and they are spending. Did you see even the budget of helicopter? I don't know. A lot is.
That we have people's children taking helicopter. What is a young kid doing? What is your kid doing driving such a car? If truly you are a leader, it will affect even your children.
Yeah.
It will affect your children. There is a certain lifestyle you should not be seen with, because it's like mocking the people that elected you. There is no way people can be hungry, dying and doing ABCD, and then you are politicizing the whole issue. Kenya needs audit. This is the only way to come out of debt. Audit farms. Audit people that don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
You know, there are companies that every president that comes into power, they go to see him so that they don't pay tax. It's happened in every nation, or rather many nations. Audit farms, audit companies, audit leaders, audit presidents, audit former presidents, audit people. Do you know there is a, is it called the former interior minister? You remember the issue of the school, the land that was taken? You know that story just went like that? Literally they took land that belongs to, and then people are laughing. But you know why no one can touch them? Because they also have lands that they have taken illegally. If Kenya gets a clean leader, one that is not trying to maintain a relationship, they have no relationship to maintain, they have not, we hit as it is, Kenya will align in less than a year. Then you begin to see investors. You begin to see infrastructure. You begin to see people coming and investing in the nation. Kenya's solution is audit. A willing president, a willing auditor, and a willing people. The rest will align.
Wow. What about the resources? Do you think there are resources that have not been exploited, or they are being mismanaged, that can bring revenue to the country?
Huge. If you just go to the minerals department, how much minerals is Kenya? You know, there are people that are mining here. And they are taking billions and millions of money out and abroad. They're just eating with their own deals. Kenya has a lot of money. Do you know tallow oil was discovered here? There are people doing the business. So there are so many minerals. The other day, the gold was discovered. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They claim that it's around 680 billion, but it's more. And then the solution is to move the people out. Instead of saying, because the gold has been found in your territory, 30% of anything we find here, or 40% remains here. Another 30% goes to the county to deal with to help the county with infrastructure. The rest of it, so that that place can grow. Imagine how many industries will go and establish because of gold. But yet the people that can be rich there, is it here? Mineral production, look there. Total mineral production value declined to 20.3 billion in 2025. Declined, it means it's higher, from 25 billion in 2024, largely due to the exit of base titanium in Kwale County, which accounted for a bulk of Kenya's minerals and earning. Gold gemstones, coltan discovery, all these kind of things are there. They are kind of minerals I don't even want to say here. Future revenue sharing. New regulations are being introduced. They are always being. They have never been introduced. 70% of national government, 20% to county government, and 10% to local community. Why? You see, this is what I'm saying. At 70% to national government, and then 20% to county government, and then 10% to local community. It shouldn't be that way. 30% to local community.
Yes.
30% or 40% to the county, and 30% to the national government. The people of that community should be more beneficiaries because the minerals have been found in there.
In their land.
There are minerals in this nation I cannot explain.
They are reduced just to be slaves and to just work in quarries.
Actually, we have over 900 minerals in this nation. Yeah. So many minerals that are being illegally mined. And if we deal with that issue, Kenya will have so much money coming from the minerals. We don't need to overtax our people. But when leaders are coming to make money for the next election, like right now, you can see billboards all over. Have you seen billboards? Who do you think is funding them? It's another, like when you get to power, you begin to prepare for the next.
Yeah.
When will you have time to work for the people? Me, I'm even requesting that if possible, a leader should only go for one term. Wait, let me hit. A leader should only go for one. And you should have a very good reason if you're going to extend. Because if then that is the case, people will focus on working. But when a person knows they can vie again and again and again, when they enter into power, it begins to become politics. Look there. Kenya has identified over 970.
Wow.
You see?
Yeah.
I told you. Distinct mineral locations across the country. But when you come, they will tell you, oh, we don't have people to mine. We need to look for companies from China. No, buy those equipments and bring those people to train our people and go back to your nation. Go back to your nation. My daughter came and she was very happy. She was telling me she is studying. They have this school app where they are studying Chinese. So yeah, she took her mother's phone yesterday, and I'm just listening to her say, "Ni hao." I'm thinking, where? What's that? And they have this app. And then I thought to myself, how many Chinese are actually doing this to their students? Like now our students are learning Chinese. Why? How many Chinese are learning Swahili? You know why people will end up learning Chinese? Because it has become the superpower.
Yeah.
Is Kenya a superpower? So why should people learn Swahili? To take it where? We need to make sure, because I hope you know Swahili is the 10th spoken language in the world. We need to make sure that Swahili is up there, not by teaching people Swahili, but by making sure that the territories through which Swahili is spoken are very attractive, very competitive, very divine, very unique. You see? Yes, China, well, I mean, like in the ratio through which that is needed to communicate in Kenya.
No.
You can't find people studying to go and communicate business.
Yeah.
We need to change that. If Kenya just gets a serious audit, we have no debt in this nation. The debt in this nation was handed over by people, and we should give those people an opportunity to pay the debt. That leader is coming. You remember this one.
Yes.
Everyone that took anything, all the people that bankrupted Kenya will return. Will bankrupt them and return what belongs. Do you remember the audit that came out that 143 people are controlling the wealth of 43 million Kenyans?
Yeah.
143 million people. You can't tell me 43 million people are lazy. You can't say that. It's just that the opportunities that are only given to those rich people. The time is coming, and the time is now.
Well, we have overwhelming feedback online. I can see Martin saying we all need to wake up as a young generation to work in perspective of the light. Thank you for this session. Someone is calling you Wasita. Then another person saying, I wish Kenyans would open their eyes and realize the truth of what you're saying. We have someone saying, personally, I will support you for the presidency. Yeah, so people are saying that you go for it. Hashtag, I see hashtag CW for president. So let us wait. Let us
Don't
say,
ask that
yes,
question.
I'm not asking.
I've seen your
I'm not,
face.
I'm not asking. I'm not asking. I don't want to say anything, but
Did you notice the roof is
very
white?
bright. Very
You notice
bright.
it's very bright, eh?
Yeah.
I had not seen.
A parting shot, sir.
Dear Kenyans,
Yeah.
you have the power to bring the nation you desire. All sovereign power belongs to you. You have that power. So if you don't like it, change it. Every blessing.
If you don't like it, change it, and you know the change is here with us. Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in and staying with us for the entire session. We are so blessed and so honored to have you join us, not only for numbers, but to see that our people are getting the undiluted truth. This is the church and the state where we balance matters, politics, governance, leadership, of course, looking at everything from the lenses of the scripture. Do not stop here. Share this broadcast to many people so that as we come next week, we are going to continue as people who are enlightened, people who are educated, and I love it that the eyes are opening, the scales are falling off from the eyes, and I know you can attest of the light that is being broadcasted from this show. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time, my name is Anne Joseph.